Americans love democracy, except when it comes to voting. The US came in nearly last in a recent ranking of 35 developed countries for voter turnout. And in the 2014 midterm elections, only 36% of eligible Americans voted, the lowest turnout in more than 70 years. The 2012 presidential election was higher, but still not great. 53.6% of eligible Americans voted. So is there something the US can learn from other countries? France and Sweden both rank higher on the list than the United States, and it might be thanks to their automatic voter registration system. France automatically registers citizens when they turn 18, while Sweden and other Scandinavian countries use tax registration information to produce a national database of voters. A few US states have adopted some form of automatic voter registration: Vermont, Oregon, California, and West Virginia, and many more have considered it, but efforts have been stalled. Australia, however, takes things a step further. Federal elections have been mandatory for nearly a century, and the results are impressive. 95% of the voting age population participated in the 2016 federal election, and that includes almost 87% of all 18 to 24-year-olds. Australia also holds its elections on Saturdays, so they don't conflict with the work week. In fact, the majority of countries hold their general elections on weekends. In the US, people vote on a Tuesday, which works great if you're a 19th century farmer. But for those of us living in the 21st century with 9-to-5s, not so much. The Election Day issue has caught the attention of both Bernie Sanders and President Barack Obama, who have called for making it a national holiday in the US. Sanders went as far as proposing legislation for a, quote, democracy day in Congress that would have given Americans the time and opportunity to vote. But the bill received no support and was never put to a vote. Another country the US could look to for inspiration? India. Voter turnout in India's 2014 election set a record at 66.4%, and voting isn't even mandatory on a national level. It's partly thanks to a culture they created. Many Indians have a strong sense of civic duty, and government initiatives like National Voters' Day have helped. It's a day dedicated to celebrating voters and encouraging young people to register, but they also have the benefit of not having to go to work. Most companies and businesses close for the day, or at the very least, allow employees time to go to the polls. And the good news is that this idea is catching on in the US. Tech companies like Spotify and Square are taking the lead by giving their employees time off to go vote. But there are other ways to help more voters cast ballots. And we can start by not making it so difficult for so many Americans. Several states have adopted strict voter ID laws to end voter fraud, but critics say these laws disenfranchise young people, African Americans, and the poor. So with these obstacles that already stand in the way of American voters, will the US ever be able to match voter turnout in other countries?